Hey guys, Saki here from SAKITECH, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about me saying goodbye to the iPhone 10 and welcoming back the Note 8 into my arms. Now, if you watch my video where I reviewed the Note 8 a couple months ago, I did say that I was going to let the Note 8 go and I was going to start using the iPhone 10 for a couple weeks. Almost been a month, and then I was going to decide whether I want to keep the iPhone 10 or keep the Note 8. So I have decided that I'm going to go back to the Note 8, and of course in this video I'm going to give you my impressions of the iPhone 10 and also my impressions of the Note 8, and I'll tell you why I'm switching back to the Note 8 from the iPhone 10, which is a fantastic product. Even though it lacks a couple features I do need that the Note 8 does offer. I'm also going to tell you guys towards the end of the video the things I'm going to be missing on the iPhone 10 that the Note 8 simply can't offer. So let's dive in and talk about why I'm saying goodbye to the iPhone 10 and welcoming back the Note 8 into my arms. So the very first thing that is making me want to go back to the Note 8 is the display. And it's not because it is a larger display or it's not because it is a higher quality display. Now, most of you guys that are into tech probably heard by now that the iPhone 10 actually has one of the best displays on the market. Even though it was manufactured by Samsung, the display technology behind it was designed by Apple, and the final product, the final display quality on the iPhone is stunning. All right. The problem, in fact, is the notch. And I'll tell you why. Now, the notch doesn't actually bother me from day-to-day use. I have no problem with looking at the notch. The problem is when you're watching a movie sideways, the notch takes away from the immersion of watching media on a full screen display. So basically, just imagine for a minute if you're watching your high definition TV, or let's say you're looking at the computer screen and there's a notch on the corner here. So when I'm watching a movie or a YouTube video, I'm watching it like this. I'm not watching like that. I'm watching it like this, and the notch is always there. Okay, and the notch does take away from the full immersion experience of being able to watch a video. So again, like I said, if you look at the screen, let's say I'm watching a movie on the screen and there's a notch right here, it wouldn't look natural. So with the Galaxy Note 8, obviously, and many other phones, that's not a problem. I can watch a movie just like this in full screen, and display, of course, is damn amazing. So that's reason number one. I'm switching back to the Note 8 from the iPhone 10. Again, I just want to clarify for people that do want to keep an iPhone over any other product in the market, that the display quality on the iPhone is probably the best in the market, and the Note 8 also is all the way up top there, but the notch takes away from watching movies in so-called full screen mode in this orientation. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is the fact that there's no multitasking on the iPhone 10. All right. So just about every other Android phone now has multitasking support built into them, meaning you can actually have two windows running side by side at the same time. So you could be watching a video on one screen and you could be doing something completely different, such as browsing the web on the other screen. And a lot of people may not be able to understand, especially ones that have never done it, what's the idea behind the multitasking. I'll just give you one example. If I'm driving my car, I'm using Google Maps as a GPS on my Note 8. And what I like to do also is I like to listen to music, or I like to listen to some YouTube video. I'm not going to watch the video, but I'll be actually listening to the whatever show they're running. So what I do is I do a split screen multitasking. On the bottom I've got the Google Maps running, and on the top I've got the YouTube video playing. I'm listening to it as I'm driving and following directions at the same time. Now that's something that's absolutely impossible on the iPhone 10, and there's no reason why it is impossible, because as far as power goes, the iPhone has a more stronger processor than the Note 8, but it still is not giving me multitasking. I've got a bunch of iPads back there, maybe over there. Well, they all have multitasking and it works great, but how come the iPhone 10 doesn't have it? So that's one of the reasons I'm going to be leaving the iPhone, going back to the Note 8, because I do utilize the multitasking options found on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. And especially because it's such a large and tall display, and I've said this before, multitasking simply feels so much better. It's like having two phones, literally. I could be doing one thing over here on the top portion of the screen and one thing on the bottom portion of the screen. And of course, when I flip the screen, the orientation switches. The orientation switches as well. All right. So that's reason number 2. Let me move on to reason number 3. All right. So reason number 3 has to do with the fact that the Note 8 is much more customizable, much more personalizable, and much more software rich than the iPhone 10. So what am I talking about? So when you pick up the iPhone 10, it's a very simple product. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a very advanced product, but all the advances happen in the background. On the front end, the user gets a very simple experience. So I pick up the phone and there's a home screen. I unlock it with Face ID. I go right inside and then I've got the home screen. And when you look at the home screen, that's all you get. So it's a bunch of apps, app icons on a bunch of home screens that look all the same. All right, so there's no sense of customization. There's no sense of personalization. All iPhones look almost the same. Now, it's an app-based smartphone. The apps are amazing. The games on this phone are amazing, but there's no customization. It doesn't have that option. Now, with the Note 8, it's Android. It's super customizable. You can modify your home screens. You can add widgets. It can look as simple as this or much more advanced. I can have some fancy widgets on the screen. I have great software functionality in this phone. It's like a mini supercomputer as opposed to the iPhone. I can do multitasking on this. I talked about that already. What I'll do is I'll drop a link down below in the description box that will showcase, it will give you a link to a video that showcases all the software functionality of the Note 8, and that video is over 2 hours long. And to be honest, that video doesn't cover everything. But again, the basics are iPhone has a simple interface. It's easy to use. The Note 8 is more like a computer. It's got so many software functions, so many software features, and of course, it's customizable. So that's one reason as a power user that gravitates me towards the Note 8. If I'm spending $1,000 on a phone, I want to be able to have some fun with the phone. I want to be able to go in and do things inside it that enhance my ownership, as opposed to the iPhone. It's the same story year after year after year. All right, so that was reason number 3, customization and software features. Now, number 4 is kind of related to the software, but it's also something that no other phone has that the Note 8 has, and you already guessed what I'm talking about. It's the S Pen. So the S Pen is a bunch of different things at the same time, and I use it in all of these different ways. First and foremost, you can use it to navigate your phone, which for me is a lot of fun. Number 2, you can use it to take notes on the go, and the notes are very precise. It's like writing on a piece of paper. It's got pressure sensitivity, so the harder you press, the bolder the text is. The lighter you press, the lighter it gets printed on the screen. It's got over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity built into the screen. So you can do that, you can take notes, and if you are an artist, you can sketch professionally. Okay, if you have the patience and the skill for it, you can create a masterpiece right on your Note 8 with the S Pen. And finally, the S Pen also gives you a completely a new dimension of software functionality. These are called the S Pen commands, the Air command menu. So when you hover the pen over the screen and you press the button on the S Pen, it brings up the Air command menu, and the Air command menu has all these different options you can access to further enhance the ownership of your smartphone, and of course it has practical use. What I'll do is I'll drop a link down below in the description section which covers all the S Pen features of the Note 8. You can go watch it to get a sensation of what I'm talking about. So this 4th reason is very simple. The Note 8 has the S Pen that I want. The iPhone does not. The Note 8 simply feels more valuable. So those are the reasons I'm going back to the Note 8. Like I said, number 1 is the display. So the notch takes away from that full screen watching experience. Like I said, it's like having a notch on the screen on the side here. It just doesn't feel natural. Number two, the multitasking is available on the Note 8. It's not on the iPhone 10. I use multitasking all the time. Number three, I'm a power user, so I want a phone that is customizable, that's personalizable, and on which I can do computer-like things. Now, one thing I didn't mention is the Note 8, you can buy a dock. It's called the DeX dock. And if you put on the DeX dock and you connect the DeX dock to a monitor, it actually gives you computer-like features. You can control it with a mouse and a keyboard, and you can have a full desktop orientation. So that's just one of the many things the Note 8 has that the iPhone 10 doesn't have. And finally, the S Pen. We just talked about that. So 4 reasons why I want the Note 8 over the iPhone 10 while I'm going back to it. Now, there's a couple things that I'm going to miss on the iPhone. One of them is the Face ID. Believe it or not, Face ID works much smoother and it's much more natural than the iris scanner. Now, security-wise, the iris scanner and the Face ID, actually the iris scanner probably is better than the Face ID, because with the Face ID you can have a twin, and the twin can, if it's an identical twin, they can unlock your phone. But with the irises, our irises all have a different design. Okay, they all have a different pattern. So even your identical twin has a different iris pattern. So it's impossible to hack almost. It is hackable, but it's harder to hack than the Face ID. But the way the Face ID works is simply much smoother. So I pick up the phone, I look at it, it's unlocked. Sometimes I can look at it from here, it still gets unlocked. With the iris scanner, I really have to place it quite precisely. My eyes have to fit within a frame for the phone to unlock quickly. With the Face ID, you pick it up, boom, it's unlocked, and you swipe and go right home. All right, so I'm going to be missing the Face ID. I've been using that all month. Never had any problems with it. It worked in almost all conditions. It does give me a little bit problem in bright sunlight, but that's the same with the iris scanner. But I have used it to sign into apps. I have used it to sign into websites, and I've used it to make payments using Apple Pay in stores. I have had no problem with the Face ID. It's something I'm going to be missing. It's amazing that as I own the iPhone 10, as I use the iPhone 10 every single day, I never felt a need to have a fingerprint sensor. The Face ID did a great job of becoming a total replacement. And the other thing I'm going to miss is the smaller form factor. Now, obviously, the reason the Note 8 is so big is because it has a larger display, but it's nice to have that smaller form factor in your hands. It's simply easy to use with one hand. It just feels more secure in your hands. So if I want the S Pen, I have to live with that tall design. It's a little bit too tall for me, but it doesn't bother me because that one negative doesn't stop me from enjoying all the amazing features that this phone has to offer over the iPhone 10. It feels like a more valuable package. It's almost the same price, but not quite. You can get it cheaper than the iPhone. So those are the two things I'm going to be missing on the iPhone 10. Like I said, the Face ID and the smaller form factor. But those two things are not enough for me to stay with the iPhone 10. I do have to go back to the Note 8 for a fuller and richer smartphone experience. And that's basically all I wanted to talk about in this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, just drop them down below. Let me know if you have the iPhone. Do you consider switching to the Note 8? Or if you have the Note 8, would you consider switching to the iPhone 10? Just drop your comments down below and make sure to subscribe to SAKITECH and give this video a thumbs up. And if you do use Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, make sure to follow me on all of them at SAKITECH Online. Guys, have a fantastic day.